SFI in West Bengal, in Kerala, in Tripura, in Andhra Pradesh, in Punjab. The student movement and the student organization, which is the SFI, made steady advances. In this connection, I would also like to just refer to how we began work in the JNU based on our program which we adopted at the first conference in Trivandrum in 1970. It is not true that the constitution of the JNU was adopted when I was the president. I became the president because there was already a constitution. That constitution was adopted in 1971 within the first academic year of the first batch of students. And that was done through an intensive process of discussions among students. For 6 months, the students in all the 4 schools which were there at that time were engaged in a very intense discussion on what type of students' union should be formed in JNU. And then we formed a constitution-making committee, which was, of course, dominated by the SFI because that was the main organization on the campus in those days. In those days, we were there, and there was the NSUI, the Congress organization. Because don't forget, this was a organization, a university set up directly under the patronage of Srimati Indira Gandhi. So our first competition or rivalry was between the SFI and the NSUI. The first election was fought on those lines also. There was an NSUI candidate and there was an independent candidate supported by the SFI. But this constitution, as it is well known, was made and drafted by the students, adopted by the students, and the university was told, now we have formed the students' union, you just have to recognize it as the authentic student body of this university. And the pattern of elections which you are still pursuing was set in that constitution. And the first issue which was taken up by the students' union was the admissions policy. What type of students should come into this university? We said, your conception of this university is not correct. We want this university to be a different sort of university. And that's how a new admission policy came into being after a struggle launched by the Students' Union in 1972. And what you know now as the deprivation points, the socio-economic weightages, etc., the regional weightages, all this was devised in 1972-73. And that is now being sought to be rolled back or attacked. And the first strike in this university was in 1973 when I was the president. And the Charter of Demands, one of the demands was that the mess bill per month should not exceed 100 rupees. It should be pegged at 100 rupees, which was accepted then by the university. At that time in the university, most of the students got merit cum mean scholarship for the MA students, and all the doctoral students and the MPhil students, all of them, practically everybody had got scholarships. So our main fight was to, since it's a new university, to see that this university develops as a national university, which will be, the doors will be open to all, and there will be affirmative action in the admissions policy to ensure that students from deprived backgrounds, social and economic, can enter this university. I think that was the historic achievement of the Students' Union in the early days of this university. Now all that is under attack. I don't want to go into the current state of affairs in this university. They are trying to roll back everything that this university had achieved in the last more than 5 decades, and they want to make this university like all the other private educational institutions or universities in this country. So that battle is what you are engaged in, and I'm sure that you will continue this struggle, and what you're seeing around the country today, this attack on democracy, on secularism, on the constitution, I think your struggle has got linked up to this wider struggle. That is why, though it is a difficult and arduous struggle, I'm sure that the way the movements and struggles are developing today in the country, that will help you, assist you in achieving what your goals are in this struggle. The next point I would like to make is what Prabhat has just touched upon. That in our country today, we are seeing an unprecedented protest movement of students and youth in every part of the country. And since the Citizenship Amendment Act was adopted in the Rajya Sabha on the 11th of this month, now 18 days have passed. And in these 18 days, two facts have emerged very clearly. One, what we have been saying and warning about has happened. We are being ruled by a full-blown authoritarian regime, a Hindutva authoritarian regime, which is assaulting all aspects of our secular democracy and the constitution. This has come out starkly, clearly. You have to only visit Uttar Pradesh today to see the most extreme form of this authoritarianism with its fascistic overtones. Second, the second fact is, these 18 days have also shown that the common people of our country and the citizens of this country are rallying together to fight back this authoritarian onslaught and in defense of democracy and secularism. This is something which did not happen even a few months ago, when this government launched its attack on the people of Jammu and Kashmir, abrogated Article 370, dismantled the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and have kept the people of the Kashmir Valley as non-citizens, deprived of all rights that they are entitled to under the Constitution for the last more than 4.5 months. At that time, yes, there were some voices of protest, but it did not develop into any mass movement or struggle. But today, we have seen in these last 18 days, everywhere people are coming out into the streets, and the students and youth are in the forefront of this struggle. And that is why it is very important that when we observe the anniversary of the SFI, the 50th anniversary, we renew our pledge and our understanding. We have always maintained that the student movement which the SFI will build in this country will not be an isolated movement of just students. It will always strive to become part of the wider democratic movement of our country, the movement of our workers, working class, the peasantry, and all other working people. And it is because of this wider vision of the SFI that they were able to achieve or go forward in at least getting some of the demands which were very important at different phases of our country's history or society. So at this stage today, we must recognize, we must remember that if our enemy today is this fusion of Hindutva and the corporate interests, the struggle, the assault on democracy, assault on secularism, assault on the constitution, all this while we are fighting it, we have to carry forward a twin battle or a dual fight, which is this fight against the assault on democracy and secularism And at the same time, we cannot forget, as students, you cannot forget what is happening to the ordinary people of our country, what is happening to the working people of our country. Their rights are being assaulted. Their right to livelihood, the right to jobs, the right for a fair income, the right to organize. They are doing away with all the trade union laws, the labor laws, which gave some rights to the working class. They are dismantling all those laws and bringing 4 codes, which will severely restrict the rights of workers. This is to serve the interests of the corporates. So that battle has to be also fought. The fight of the workers, the peasants, the agricultural workers, the unorganized sector workers, the vast masses of people who are completely outside the organized sector, they are now also in the path of struggle. Just like there is the privatization drive in education, there is a much wider privatization drive, assault on all our public sector enterprises. And the working class of this country is going to go on a general strike on the 8th of January. All the central trade unions, all the independent federations, including the peasant and agricultural workers organizations, all of them are joining the struggle to make the general strike a complete success, involving crores and crores of the working people. That struggle is integrally connected to our struggle to defend democracy and secularism. So we have to, the fight you are conducting in JNU today encompasses both these aspects. The democratic rights of students, democracy on the campus, the right of free expression, reason, the defense of reason, and also the right or the defense of public educational institutions, defense of public funded education. This struggle, I'm sure you will be very much part of this overall movement which is developing, which will intensify, and I'm sure will become in the coming days such a powerful movement that these 2 trends that we are seeing, the heightening of the Hindutva authoritarian regime, the intensifying of this regime's attacks on the people, and the resistance to that, the fight against that, this will reach a decisive turn when we can involve more and more students, more and more youth, more and more of the working people in the struggle. So it is with this perspective that I think that you should commemorate this 50th anniversary and show the path to the future which will be ours to come. Thank you very much.